Hi guys, welcome back to my bathroom. Today I'm doing this makeup look, which is the makeup that I wore on my wedding day. It's the exact routine and products that I used on the day, so I've completely recreated the look for you. I've tested a lot of products to find the ones that would work for me, for my skin, to create the look that I wanted to, which were also usable for me, because I'm not a makeup artist, so I needed to make it easy for myself so I could recreate it comfortably and not stress myself out on the day. I had my hair done first, so I'll be beginning this tutorial with my hair done as well. I really hope that you enjoy this and also recreate it yourself. I'm so far from an expert. If I can do it, you can 100% do it. So give it a go and let me know how you get on. Let's start. So on my wedding day, I prepped my skin first. I think if you're gonna wear your makeup all day like that, you need it to really have a smooth surface that you're putting it onto. So I always love this exfoliator, and this is what I used on the wedding day. This is the Sugar Face Polish from Fresh. It's got quite a fine kind of sandy texture to it. So I just put some into my hands on the day and did circular motions. Don't press too hard because you don't want to like rub your face raw, and especially if you've got more sensitive skin, you just want to have a really nice smooth surface to work on. I obviously didn't take it around my eyes, it's just on kind of the main areas of my face. So I'm just gonna wipe that off with a flannel. I'm using a muslin flannel, which is one of the ones that comes with the Eve Lom cleanser, just because it's kind of an extra exfoliator. So the moisturizer I used on the day is my everyday one, which is this. It's the Skinceuticals Red Neutraliser. I probably used about 2 or 3 pumps on the day. You don't actually need very much of Skinceuticals products. They're very kind of rich. I tend to get a little bit of dryness, and sometimes even when I'm really sensitive, I can get kind of, you can see it, it's a little bit red here. The skin tends to get very dry around there, and I can get a little bit of eczema. So my dermatologist gave me Protopic. It's like an emollient cream, is that how you say it? I just put some of that around my nose because it just helps to stop it from drying out under the makeup during the day. The eye cream that I use always, and I used all in the run up to the wedding and on the day, is the Mer Eye Concentrate. It does come with like a really nice little metal ball applicator, but I just use my fingers and just go underneath, and then when you've got a little bit more, you can do circles over the brow. Then I used this lip balm. This is kind of an unusual choice. I feel like a lot of people would go for a very nourishing lip balm, and I went for the GlamGlow Plumping Balm. This is the wet lip balm treatment, and it is a plumper, but I just found in the practices I did before, it was a really light balm that also achieved the look that I wanted. It's not really what I would choose kind of in everyday life for nourishing my lips, but for an event when you want a very specific look, I found that it did the job. So I just applied it with one of these, which is an Artis Lip Brush. If you have an opportunity now, like give it 10 minutes to let all of those products soak in. You don't want to put makeup freshly on your moisturized face because you want all of the products to absorb. So have a drink, have a break. Moving on to makeup now. I actually used my phone on the day, and I made a list of the order of the products. I will just show you it in my notes so that on the day I couldn't be flustered and forget a step, because you obviously want to make sure that you did it to the best of your ability. I've done my eye cream and lip balm, and so now we're on to primers. So the primers I used on the day were these two. So I used the Mercier primer and the Nars Eye Primer. So starting with the face primer, I just pop it on like my foundation in the areas I think I'm gonna need it. And then I use my big Artis brush, this is the one, it's number 10, and just smooth it out. Day to day, I wouldn't necessarily use a brush to apply my primer, but on the day I wanted it to be as smooth a base as possible. Make sure you take it down your neck as well. Again, now you need to let that soak in is the wrong word, but you need to just let it set for a minute before you put any foundation on. So it's the perfect opportunity to do your eyeshadow base at the same time. The Nars one comes on kind of a doughy applicator like this. So I literally just look down and put some splodges on my lids. And then I use my finger to work it in. You can almost feel when your primer's set because it doesn't feel wet anymore. It feels kind of a little bit tighter, I guess. So when you feel you've got to that point, I always just go for an extra little buff just to check that I've got a flawless cover everywhere. Next I did my brows. Sometimes during kind of normal makeup and every day I would do my brows last, but I found doing it for this kind of event makeup, it made sense to do it first because it kind of framed my face and prepared me for the rest of my makeup better. I used this little Laura Mercier palette. Mine is in the colour Ash, and you basically get on one side a powder, on one side like a pomade-y kind of wax. I use this little brush from Bobbi Brown because it's got a little angle and it's quite stiff, so it makes it kind of easier to apply. On the day I applied the wax first and then a little bit of powder to fill in the gaps. I don't know if that's the right way around, but that's what worked for me. So then I literally just tap the little brush into the powder, knocking off any excess, and then just lightly putting touches where I've got kind of gaps in their hairs. On the day, I also used a little toothbrush just to keep the whole thing brushed out and kind of check it as I applied it to make sure that it wasn't kind of making a funny shape. Another great reason to do your brows at the beginning is because you can tidy them up so nicely at this stage without adding loads of product to your face. All you need to do is pick up a Q-tip and just literally run it around the edges of your brow so that you have a really nice clean, you can see it's like lifted off some product, so you end up with a really nice clean brow without caking your face with like concealer or foundation to tidy it up. It's just like a much more natural, lighter product look to do it at this point. Obviously your brows are never going to be completely symmetrical. This isn't a super short tutorial. It probably took me on the day an hour and 15 to do my makeup, and you want to give yourself at least an hour and a half so that you don't feel flustered and you can do it in your own time. This isn't the day to rush it, so just kind of take each process, each step as slowly so that you feel comfortable and you feel like you have time to correct it if anything goes wrong, because stuff goes wrong for everyone. The next thing I did, again along the same lines as the brows, was my eyeliner. The reason for that was, again, so that I could tidy it up and make it as fine as possible. I wanted to be very natural eyeliner on the day. I used a liquid liner because I wanted it to be very clean, but I wanted it to be as fine a line as possible. And I wanted to be able to tidy up the edges as much as I wanted, again, without having to add concealer or foundation to touch in. On the day I actually used an Ico eyeliner, which I don't have anymore for some reason. So I'm using my other fave, which is this Marc Jacobs one. I'm going to do a very thin line from the inner corner to the outer corner with the liner, and then a very small flick, like tiny, so it's just going to go in with the shape of my lashes. It's not going to be graphic at all. Then I pick up a Q-tip, just make it a little bit damp from a makeup wipe, just run it along the edge, just to give yourself the cleanest line possible. And also the thinnest line you can do, because I wanted it to be as fine and delicate as possible. I've done both eyes to match now, or as close to matching as I'm able to do. I'm sure any makeup artist ever would say this is such the wrong way around to do things, but this is what I did and this is what I was comfortable doing and I could achieve on the day the best results with. Now we're going to go into products for the face. So I used Becca. This is the Shimmering Skin Perfector in liquid. I put this on underneath my foundation. A lot of people would think that that wouldn't show through, but it really does. It really gives you like a kind of glow from within, which was what I wanted to achieve on the day. So I'm just using a flat foundation brush. This is a Clinique flat foundation brush, and I'm just spreading the product out on my hand a little bit so that I get a light coat on the brush. Then I'm just going to tap it and blend it out along my cheekbone and my other highlight areas. Then I took it under my brow, a little tiny bit above the brow, down the bridge of my nose, and Cupid's bow. So don't put it across your whole face, just don't do that, because a girlfriend of mine did it when we were doing our test. She was actually one of my bridesmaids because she misunderstood me when I told her where I put it on my face, and she literally ended up beaming. Her entire face was beaming. So just put it where you'd put your powder highlight. I also mixed a pump of this with 2 pumps of Kiehls body butter and used that across my whole body, down my back, so that my body was also looking really healthy and glowy for all the pictures, because I had a low back dress. So I really recommend mixing those products together as well if you want to achieve that look. Now we're going to go into foundation. I used the Marc Jacobs Gel Genius on my wedding day in the colour 44 Golden Medium. I love this foundation because it's very buildable, it's very natural. I love the texture it leaves on your skin, and I always use it when I have big shoots. It's just a really popular one for me. It's not a long wear foundation, but I found using the right primer and setter and building the products, my face looked perfect throughout the whole experience. I was really pleased with how well my makeup lasted. I will try at the end and insert a picture from my wedding photos of my face so that you can see how it photographed and how it looked on the day. So like normal, I'm just taking some with my finger, dotting it onto my face in the places that I need it. And then I'm gonna use my Artis Oval 8 to blend it out. Make sure you take it down your neck, over your ears, so you have a completely flawless edge to your foundation. The last thing you want on your wedding day are edges. So that's one layer of foundation. Now what I did was take a big compact mirror like this, have a look, see how my skin's looking, see where there are areas that I need a little bit more, and then I would just pat a little bit foundation in those areas and then use the brush again to blend it out. So you're just layering it up in the areas that you need it. For concealer, it's my old favourite. I know you've heard me talk about this so many times. This is a Tom Ford concealer pen in Light. It's the one with the sponge applicator. I just turn it until a little kind of worm of concealer comes out the top and then apply it. Now, I didn't apply it close under my eyes on the wedding day because I didn't want to have creases. So you can kind of move the product in under, don't apply it tight to your eye. I also went like this and here. So that they were the kind of highlight areas, I guess. You could use your finger to blend these in. I used a brush on the day. I used this small Artis brush. This is a Oval 6. And just start with your chin. Then go to your nose and forehead. And then we're gonna finish with the under eye. So I blur out the edges first. So you've still got a concentration of product under the eye, but your edges are all nicely blended. Then I start to sweep the product up and under. I have a little imperfection here, so I'm just patting a tiny bit of the concealer across the bridge of my nose as well. Keep checking yourself in a small mirror like this, or I actually took with me to my wedding venue this mirror. This is one of the Simple Human mirrors that has a light built into it, and it's also a magnifier, so I could get really nice and close like this, check all of the details of my makeup as I was doing it. It was also great while I was doing my eye makeup because you can really tip your head and rotate the mirror so that you can see all your edges and what you're doing. Next step is to set your under eyes. This is the Laura Mercier brightening powder. So I take a little bit on my brush like this, tap it off, and then extra tap it off in the lid. And then first of all, you're just gonna pat, don't sweep, just pat. And then you're gonna pick up more from the lid because there's gonna be a very light dusting of the powder in the lid, and that's what you're gonna slowly edge closer to under your eye. So by the time you get right under your lashes, you've got the least amount of powder on your brush. Then I take a little bit on my brush and go back down the same places that I put the concealer. Now I'm going to move on to setting my whole face. I used this powder from Hourglass. This is the Hourglass Ambient Light palette, which comes with these 3 colours like this. I literally just swept my brush across all 3 colours. At the time, I don't actually think I had this La Mer brush because they hadn't released it yet, but I'm obsessed with this palette brush, so I would have used it 100% if I'd had it on the day. So just pick up some powder, start in the middle of your forehead, you're just lightly patting on. I'm really just lightly touching my skin. Okay, now you want to sweep under your eyes, which is going to help to lift off any extra brightening powder you had there that you don't want. For bronzer on the day, I used Give Me Sun from MAC. This is quite a dark kind of orangey shade. I obviously had a bit of a tan at the time. If you are a paler shade than me, don't go for this bronzer, choose a paler one. I love the texture of this one because it's, again, got that slight sheen to it, which kind of leaves your skin looking flawless. So I just took my Sigma brush, big powder brush, and always starting at temples first. Make sure you're really pushing the powder into your hairline so that you don't have like an edge where your sculpt starts. So I've taken it down the 2 edges of my face. Now we're going to take it along my cheekbone. So just in sweeping motions lightly, I'm literally taking the lightest touch. I don't know if you can see that on my brush, but just the lightest touch of bronzer each time and building it up. And using circle motions to kind of blend it out, taking it over your ears as well. Don't let your ears be like a weird different colour than the rest of your face because it will look very strange in photos. And then we're going to go under the chin and down the neck a little bit. Don't be afraid at this point to ask a friend if your makeup is looking even, because this is the point at which you want your face to be even. Francis, does my face look even? Next we're going to add some blush. This was the blush I used on the day, which is Tom Ford's Inhibition. It's a matte-ish blush in a kind of lovely, soft, warm pink colour. And I just found it to be the most natural colour, and it went very well with the pink lipstick I chose as well. Obviously you should choose your foundation, your bronzer, your blush colours to suit your skin tone and the colour of dress you're wearing. I wore true white, so I chose all of my colours based around that, and I also checked them all in daylight. Make sure you check your makeup in daylight because it will be very different than in synthetic light. So we're just going to make the blush face and then pat it on the cheeks and blend out. We're also going to add a touch to the temples, just to add a little bit of life into the face. Again, a nice point to check if your cheeks look balanced, if you want a little bit more colour, where you want the colour to be placed, all of that stuff. The final step for your base is your highlighter shade. I use Nars Hot Sand. It's a slightly pink blusher. It's actually sold as a blusher, not a highlighter, but it's got a real shimmer to it, which I really like. I used my Sigma tapered highlighter brush and just swept it across my highlight areas. Really make sure you blend it well into your face, work the product into your skin so that you get a really flawless highlight rather than like a shimmery powder that you can see sitting on top of your skin. If you work it in, it will make a really nice soft texture into your skin. And that's it for your base. So now we're going to move on to your eye makeup. Okay, so what I did to begin with was use a very blendable black eyeliner. Okay, I don't know what's happened to the eyeliner I used on the day. It was a Chanel one. I will tag the correct one below and this one because I don't know what I did with the Chanel one. So I'm gonna have to use a little mirror so that I can see. What you want to do is look down. Try not to raise your eyebrows because you want the contour to happen in the area that it's gonna be when you look straight ahead. If you start raising your eyebrows, the skin will move and it'll be in a different place. So try and just keep your eyebrows down. Look at the natural hollow over your eye and then take your eyeliner and do light dots. So you can see that kind of looks weird and a mess, but it won't do, I promise, when you're finished. Now I've picked up a little Sigma brush. This is the Smudge E21 brush. And I'm just going to work it along where I've put the eyeliner. What this is doing is creating a great shadow base so that I've already laid down the area where I want the shadow to be. When you feel that you've blended it out and you've just got a nice, like you can see, a nice little shadow there, now put the black down and you're going to pick up a red eyeliner. I got this one from Chanel. It was sent to me a while ago by them. Even if you can get hold of like a plummy shade, that is also really good. Because what you want is something that has the color of blood in it. I know it sounds really gross, but what that's going to do is create a much more natural shade to your shadow, because obviously your skin has blood behind it and in the shadowed areas, and it makes it seem more kind of believable. So you're just going to do exactly the same thing with the red one over the top. If you can get hold of this, this is the Eros long lasting eyeliner that's waterproof from Chanel. You can go a little bit heavier, like you can see there with the red, because it just blends out really nicely to create the shadow. So work it down into the corner of your eye. And then I'm kind of just tapering it off on the edge there. So it's not going to be anything hard, it's just going to be like a smooth, gentle incline away. And you can also take a Q-tip now and tidy up your edges. And then again, you can pick up your brush and blend out again. Now I'm going to use my eyeshadows. This is my Z palette. It's filled with a combination of Makeup Geek and MAC shadows. Some of them came out of limited edition palettes, some of them I purchased on their own just as the individual thing. I did honestly just use a mix of them, and I'll describe to you as I'm going which kind of shades I used at which points. So I'm going to pick up my blending brush. This is an E25 Sigma brush. It's just a classic blending brush. And I pick up the transition shades at this point. So that's kind of this color, even a light tap of the pink. So you're just kind of blending them on your brush, tapping off any excess, and you're just going to run that all the way over where you've just put your liner. What that's going to do is give you a really nice smooth powdered surface that you're going to be able to blend the other colours over the top with. Now you're going to pick up a really pale shade from your shadow palette. So, you know, you're looking at these kind of two. I'm using the same brush still. I've just wiped it off on my micro pad, and you're just going to put it in under the brow and on the brow bone so that you've got a nice pale base up there as well. And then the same with these two pale colours on the middle of your lid. I'm going to pick up a slightly more pointed blending brush. This is the small tapered blending brush E45 from Sigma. And I'm going to pick up some of the colours that are closer to the eyeliner colours that we used to create the shadow. So I'm going to use a mix of this kind of darky plum shade here, this kind of taupey brown shade, some of the grayer shades like these that are going to add to that kind of contour effect. So again, I'm just lightly tapping them, mixing them together, and then you're just going to run that exactly over where you put the eyeliner. Just follow the natural curve of the socket of your eyeball. I promise it's so easy. You just want to get the brush into that little groove, and then you just go backwards and forwards and blend it out. Then when you've done that, you can take the same blending brush you used before and just use that to take off any edges. You just really take the time to blend. That's the most important thing. Using your small brush again, you're going to pick up the darker shades, the kind of greys and reds that I showed you, really the kind of dark contour colours again. Touching my lid so lightly. And then blending, blending, blending. Okay, if you want a little bit more definition at this point, you can take the same small brush that you blended out your eyeliner with and pick up one of the much more ashy dark colours. So I would probably use this one here, or this one in the top here. You know, it's an ashy contour colour, nothing with pink in at this point. And then you're just going in on that line just to cut the line a little bit more. Take your big blending brush again and just blend that edge out. Can you see how much definition and kind of how hooded it's made my eyes look there? Even from this eye to this eye, this one looks so much more contoured from just adding that darker colour into the shadow. not sweeping it onto the lid, I'm just sweeping it up onto the brow bone. Those were all matte eyeshadows in case you were wondering, and I like a little bit of light in the eye. And the colour that I found that is absolutely perfect for adding just a little bit of shimmer, it's not even shimmer, it's just like not flat, is one of the Laura Geller ones. It comes in the Delectables palette, this is it here, and it is the colour Cream. So on a clean brush, for my lid, I use this angled Laura Mercier brush. Just pick some up onto the pad of the brush, and we're gonna put it onto the lid of the eye and also across the brow bone. So wipe your brush off before you go on to the next shade. You wanna pick up the same color and just go lightly in under the edge of the brow here. Now, if you wanted to add a little bit more light to your eyes, you could also pick up your highlight shade again. So if you take a small pencil brush like this and your highlight shade, what you can do is just put a little bit on the pencil brush and go in right in the peak of the brow. Is that the peak of the brow? What would you call that? Under the arch of your brow, I guess? You can also go a little bit in the corner of the eye just to widen your eyes up. I don't recommend putting too much here on your wedding day because it could look a bit. So that's all your eye makeup done apart from your mascara. I'm gonna just go ahead and curl my lashes. I'm using the Shiseido eyelash curler. Take your time, make sure you've wiggled all of the lashes in so you get a nice curled fan like that. I also love this makeup if I'm a wedding guest or if I'm just going to an event. It's just a really lovely, natural, no makeup, but very heavily makeup look, so that you know you're looking flawless but still yourself throughout the day, which was really my big desire, I guess, which is why I did my own makeup, is that I wanted to look like me. I wanted to look like me, but better. And know that I didn't feel self-conscious. I felt completely confident because I looked like myself. So if you're a control freak like me, this is definitely the way to go. So on my top lashes, I used this mascara. This is one of my favorites. It's the Guerlain Le Petit Robe Noir. That's probably not at all how you say it. My French is appalling. In black. So it does have like a kind of silicone-y brush. Very interesting brush actually, with a ball on the end. So look down into a mirror so that you're not transferring the mascara onto your lid. Work it, wiggling at the root to get it all nicely into the root for that kind of volume look, and then brush up. I did 2 coats of this mascara on the day. I didn't wear any lash extensions or fake lashes, even though I did a really long post about all of the lash options on my site. I'll also link that below so you can see it. In the end, I decided that I wanted my eyes to look natural in real life. So as the mascara is drying, just take your finger like this and run it up the lashes. This is gonna lift any kind of blobs of mascara, any unevenness off, and it's also gonna hold the curl of your lashes as it's drying. Then on the bottom lashes, I used this Clinique Bottom Lash Mascara. Again, it's one of my favorites. I use it almost every day. It almost just darkens your lashes rather than adding a huge amount. So I just put that on my bottom lashes. Okay, now we're gonna set our face. I used MAC Fix Plus. Hold your hair back, or if even better, if you have one of those little towel hair bands, just do, and keep looking down or your eyes shut so that you don't transfer your eye-like shadow across your lids while it's damp. Just let everything dry before you open your eyes properly. So take a makeup wipe and just wipe carefully in the mirror. I've done this before and like moved half my product. You only want to wipe your actual lips. So you can see that was all the powder and foundation that was on my lips from doing my makeup. You don't want that under your lipstick. The lip pencil that I used on, you're gonna laugh, this is so funny. The lip pencil that I used on my wedding day was actually a freebie with a magazine, probably about 15 years ago or more, that I got from Boots. No, it's not even from Boots, from Body Shop. I have since gone for this tutorial and bought the same lip pencil in a modern version. So this is what it looks like now. It's exactly the same color, it's exactly the same product. It's just now in non-free with a magazine. So you're just gonna outline your lips. I always start in the Cupid's bow and then the bottom so that it's symmetrical, and then I fill in along the edges. The lipstick I used on the day is this one, and funnily enough, it's the only lipstick I own from this brand. It is from Charlotte Tilbury, and it's a very pretty pink color you can see here. It's called Live It Up. It's quite a matte texture. It's not a super matte lipstick, but it is quite matte and buttery. And I just really loved the color. That's the only reason I chose it. And I went through a lot of nudes and pinks to find the right color, and this was just the one that suited me on the day. And the way I found this lipstick color was actually over multiple dress fittings. I took different lipsticks and I tried them on with my actual dress fabric on, obviously wiping my lipstick off again after so that I didn't transfer anything onto my dress. But that's what helped me to find the right color. Because you need to find the color that's going to bring your face to life when you're wearing white, which is also why I'm wearing white today, to try and help, because you do really need to check what your makeup looks like against white, because it's going to reflect light up on your face and you'll look different than you do in other colors, particularly if you don't wear white very much. Make sure you wash your hands afterwards, because you are going to have makeup on your hands and you don't want to that's the nightmare, is to transfer like foundation hands onto your white dress, so please check. If you wanted to, at this point, you could check your face in the daylight. So take a little compact mirror, or as big a mirror as you can get, go to the daylight, look at your face in the daylight, check how you blend out down your neck, down your ears, check everything, even get a friend to take, or your hairdresser to take photos of your face so you can check it. This is the point at which you can correct anything. You still have loads of time. So those are all of my top tips, I think. I really hope that you try this makeup look at home. I mean, I would be thrilled if you chose it on your wedding day as well and you shared pictures with me. I love to see the pictures. Always tag me in your pictures so that I can see them if you do it. And I really hope you liked this bridal makeup look. It's not just a bridal makeup look, it's my actual daytime bridal makeup look. I did use a different makeup look for the evening for my dinner. So if you want to see the evening look, because I completely took my makeup off and started from scratch, let me know and I will definitely film that for you as well. But this was really the main look that I spent a lot of time working out the products that I wanted to create this look, because I really wanted my skin to be what spoke the most and to have a really natural feeling to my face. So I hope that's what you feel I've achieved. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more makeup tutorials, because I'm going to be doing them more over here because of the issues with my site and the storage, so they have to be hosted over here now. So make sure you subscribe so you can find out when I've published new ones. Thanks, guys. Bye.